So it is Monday again, and as always, it is so great to have you here, and I hope you're staying safe and healthy out there. Anyways, today we have a very special recipe to kick off the week. We're talking Spanish pinto beans and rice. Now, this is not the typical rice and beans that you would expect from Latin American cuisine. This is a dish that hails from the Kingdom of Spain and a recipe that dates back hundreds of years. And let me tell you, it's got so many incredible flavors to it. Like seriously, when you take that first bite, you're not gonna believe how good it is. It's very easy to make, and it's done all in just 30 minutes, folks. You can serve this as a main course, as you got plenty of protein in there thanks to the beans, or even as a side dish next to some grilled fish. Either way, and like I always tell you, this is what simple and delicious Spanish food is all about. Let's begin by adding in 2 cups of vegetable broth into a saucepan, which is 475 milliliters. As always, the broth that I'm using is homemade. You'll find a recipe on how to make it in the iCard above and description box below. Of course, you can also use chicken broth here or even water. Just make sure to season accordingly if you're using water. Then we'll pinch in a 1/4 teaspoon of saffron threads, which is 0.17 grams. As always, the saffron I'm using is from Golden Saffron. Once again, you'll find a link where you can get it in the description box below. And we'll season with a little sea salt and some freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll heat it with a high heat. While the broth is heating, let's start getting the rice ready. For this recipe, I'm going to use long grain rice, but you can use whatever type of rice you like, though the liquid to rice ratio might be different than the one that I'm using, so make sure to check the package instructions. I'm going to measure out 1 cup, which is about 190 grams. Add the rice into a sieve and rinse it under some cold running water, just between 20 to 30 seconds, or until the water underneath the sieve runs clear. Once the broth comes to a boil, I'm going to add in the rice into the saucepan, give it a quick mix, place a lid on the pan, and lower the fire to a low-medium heat. And we're going to simmer our rice on a low-medium heat until it's fully cooked through, which is about 15 to 16 minutes in my case. So once again, make sure to check the package instructions in the rice that you're using. In the meantime, let's start cooking up the beans. I'm going to heat a large fry pan with a medium heat and add in about 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, which is 30 milliliters. Now, the vegetables I'm going to use in this recipe are the typical ones that are used here in Spain when you're making this dish, but as always, you can use whatever vegetables you like or whatever you have on hand. After heating the olive oil for about 2 minutes, I'm going to add in 1 small onion that I finely diced, 1 green bell pepper that I finely chopped, 1 carrot that's been peeled and finely chopped as well, and 4 cloves of garlic that have been roughly minced. And we'll mix the vegetables around continuously, that way they evenly saute and they don't brown too quickly. After about 4 minutes, and the vegetables are lightly sauteed and that onion is nice and translucent, I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of sweet smoked Spanish paprika, which is 2.30 grams, and half a teaspoon of ground cumin, which is about 1 1/4 grams. And we'll give this a quick mix, that way those spices are evenly coating all the vegetables. And like I always tell you, when you add in paprika into a hot pan, you want to mix it in there quickly, otherwise it can easily get a bitter flavor. Then I'm going to add in 2½ cups of cooked pinto beans, which is 400 grams. The pinto beans that I'm using are jarred ones, which is the same thing as the canned ones, and I did add them into a sieve beforehand and rinse them under some cold running water. Then we'll season everything with sea salt and a generous portion of freshly cracked black pepper. And we'll give this a gentle mix, that way all the ingredients are evenly mixed together, and once again remember to be gentle here, otherwise you can easily break those pinto beans apart. Once all the ingredients are well mixed, I'm going to add in 1 cup of vegetable broth, which is 240 milliliters. Once again, you can use chicken broth here or even water if you like. And we're going to simmer this on a medium heat until the rice is fully cooked through, which is going to be another 5 to 10 minutes. This is enough time for the majority of that broth to be absorbed by the vegetables and the beans. That way everything's perfectly cooked through and all the flavors develop. Alright, let's move back to the rice. It's been about 15 to 16 minutes since I placed the lid on the stock pot, and at this point, all that broth should be fully absorbed by the rice. Once again, very important to check the package instructions in your rice, that way it's perfectly cooked through. At this point, I'm going to remove the saucepan from the heat, and we're going to let it sit here between 2 to 3 minutes with the lid on, that way that steam can finish cooking up all that rice. After a couple minutes, I'm going to remove the lid from the saucepan, and using a fork, I'm going to gently fluff the rice. This is going to help loosen up the grains. And we'll transfer some of the rice into a serving dish. Okay, let's move back to the beans. They've been simmering on a medium heat for about 10 minutes, and as you can see, the majority of that broth has been absorbed by all the ingredients, giving us perfectly cooked vegetables and those beans an ultra tender texture. At this point, this is ready to go. I'm going to remove the pan from the heat, add some of the beans into the dish with the rice, and we'll sprinkle it with some finely chopped fresh parsley. Check it out, our Spanish pinto beans and rice is done. This is known here in Spain as alubias pinta a la jardinera con arroz. Like I told you at the beginning, this is not your typical beans and rice dish that you expect from Latin American cuisine. This is a classic Spanish dish that's loaded with so many incredible Mediterranean flavors, easy to make, and done in just 30 minutes. Let's give it a try and see how it turned out. Now this is what Spanish home cooking is all about. What an incredible aroma. Here we go. Good Lord, that is so gorgeous. Such an incredible combination of flavors between all the ingredients and those spices. You know, like I told you at the beginning, you can serve this as a main course, as you got a ton of protein from the beans, or even as a side dish next to some grilled fish. Either way, you have to give this a try, and I promise, one of the best bean and rice dishes you will ever taste. Really quick before I go, a shout out to a couple of my patrons, Hollis Helmichi, Sam Cohen, Kent Anderson, Michael Cole, Luli Garcia Diaz, and Grace Suarez. Again, guys, thank you so much for being patrons of Spain on a Fork. You know how much I appreciate you. For the rest of you, if you're not with me on Patreon and you'd like to support the show, you'll find my Patreon link in the description box below and iCard above. If you enjoyed today's video, hit that like button, leave me a comment below, and don't forget to share this video with your family and friends. That way our Spain on a Fork community can continue to grow. Till the next time, hasta luego. What a dish. Give this a try at home. It's gonna blow you away. Dang, that's good.